Hey, grab a seat. Let's talk a little bit about muscle actions, the three various muscle actions, and how you can use them in your own training so that you can go beyond RX, where these principles will apply to any of your training, regardless of if you're doing gymnastics or if you're doing weightlifting or powerlifting or anything else within CrossFit. So we see the main three muscle actions are isometric, where the muscle's tight, there's tension in the muscle, but there's no position change, you're just holding a position. Next one would be eccentric loading, where you're mainly focused or only focused on that slow descent. So going from, for example, the top of a pull-up slowly to the bottom of a pull-up. And then the concentric muscle action, which is what most people are thinking of when they're doing a functional movement. So in a pull-up, it's doing the pull-up, it's pulling yourself up. So those are the three main muscle actions. Again, isometric, no change in length. Eccentric, tension in the muscle, but a lengthening of the muscle or an opening of the joint angle. And then concentric, tension in the muscle, and the muscle is shortening or the joint angle is closing. So again, where most people are doing their training, they're really only thinking of something like 5 sets of 5 repetitions where that focus is only on the concentric action. Well, it doesn't have to be that way, and especially if you really want to progress or if you're hitting a plateau and you're stagnating, you will want to use these other tools, these other muscle actions. So here's an example of an actual training day that I did today. That's why everything's crossed off as I went along with it. But what you see here, where I started with the gymnastic isometric position, the flag, so that's holding yourself kind of sideways, that would be considered an isometric muscle action. One arm is supporting overhead, one arm is pulling from overhead, so kind of combining ipsilateral, bilateral movement, or sorry, rather contralateral. In any case, the way that you can increase the difficulty or progress this, decrease the difficulty as well on something like a flag where there's a lot of leverage at play, you can do a tuck position. What I was doing specifically today was a single leg tuck and a single leg extended. So instead of having the weight of both my legs that I had to, again, support one arm overhead and one arm supporting overhead and one arm pulling overhead, I cut down the leverage on that. So often with isometrics, we will decrease or increase the lever to increase or decrease the difficulty. Here I have a single arm top position hang, so a one arm pull up, holding my chin above the ring height, the hand height of the ring. But again, it's an isometric hold, I'm just locking that position in. The way that I increase difficulty here, you can increase, of course, how long you hold it. The way I happened to increase difficulty here was by adding some weight. So again, just locking off that top position. So this now is becoming useful to everybody where my specific goals are to go beyond the RX and go into one-arm pull-up territory, but other people are just working on their pull-ups, right? They want to get that first pull-up. Well, an isometric chin over bar hold is one way that they can train that muscle action of that movement pattern. From there, eccentric loaded. For this, I did a banded one-arm pull-up where I was doing the concentric action, but again, my focus, it was just a single rep where I used a band. I pulled on a band to pull myself to the top, and then as much as I can, I was either loosening my grip or just kind of following myself down as I let that joint angle open. And it is that single arm focus, it's in the correct line of action for that one arm pull-up. So again, mimicking patterns that we want to then replicate concentrically. But with eccentric loading, you are about 40% stronger than concentrically, so you can start to do the movement in reverse, especially with gymnastics, or if you're loading a bench press, for example, and you're just doing the eccentric, somebody helps you re-rack the bar, you could work up to 40% more than the new record that you're trying to set, lowering under control and safely and progressively. You don't go straight to 40%, plus 40%. But you can use this eccentric loading to break through those plateaus. From there, we do see standard concentric loaded movements. So I had a pulley single arm pull down. So again, basically like a lat pull down in a kneeling position. But now the focus is on that full, pulling the ring underneath my chin. After that, a few sets of strict chest to bars. So again, the standard concentric loading. And then as some accessory work, isometric double dumbbell planche hold, so just holding 2 dumbbells, or in my case, I'd set up like a strap system with some change plates. But again, holding that joint angle at a position where it's a bicep movement because the shoulder action is pulling that up. So there's no action at the elbow except for stabilization, where a lot of people do bicep curls concentrically. This is a way that you can isometrically load that bicep. You could, of course, also do a bicep curl and just hold it. But again, using these muscle actions, using these tools to break through plateaus, give yourself new abilities. With the ring face pull, again, that would be a concentric movement muscle action, mainly focused on kind of prehab, rehab of the shoulder and adding some shoulder stability. So you can do that as a primer. I do it as a finisher. And then some single arm hang work, again, an isometric hold. Not a lot of leverage in this particular one, but it is just an isometric hold working on your grip, and then some specific shoulder stability work. So just wanted to give a real example of how you can use all three of the muscle actions, even within one training session, but certainly choosing exercises based on that muscle action depending on your goals. Again, this is particularly useful if you're a beginner trying to get a new skill, or even if you're an advanced trainee who has hit a plateau and they don't know how to break through it. You know, maybe you've gone years without a PR. Well, maybe consider incorporating some isometric work and some eccentric work into your training rather than just concentric reps banging your head against the wall. Incorporate some new tools and see if that helps you break through that plateau. So hopefully this real world kind of training example helped you. If you are interested in online programming, that is a service that I offer. If you're interested in joining a gymnastics course, that is on offer around the world, and these principles are described in depth in the gymnastics course as well. So let me know how your training's going. Let me know if I can help you in any way, and I'll see you for the next one.